Feel a little easier?
It does so good. Yeah. Thank you for saving my life.
Hey y'all, I'm Dr. Matt from Lifespring Chiropractic here today with Rori. And Rori, tell us, what do you do? And we're gonna get into what brought you in initially as well.
I play point guard on the women's basketball team at the University of Texas. And I tore my ACL and sprained my MCL and a little bit of my meniscus. So I actually just got cleared 10 months post-op yesterday. So that's great. But yeah, I'm in here just to kind of figure out maybe why and what I can do better to prevent it.
We've been working together for a few months now, right? And this is the off season that we're filming this, and the season is just about to start. And the magic really happens in the off season because we've been working intensively together to help optimize your nervous system.
Right.
There's a phrase I talked to you about in the beginning quite a bit, the domino effect. And the domino effect is when we see things like the knee injury showing up, and you had a couple ankle injuries as well. And when I see a few ankle injuries, both sides, one was a fracture, a few sprains on the other side, and then in the knee, a significant injury like that as well. With the head, we trace back a few concussions, you remember?
Yes. Last year, I broke my nose, and that was like the most recent one where I felt that I did have a concussion. I wasn't on concussion protocol, but we just kind of focused on my nose part, and I got a concussion alongside of that. I definitely lost like a little bit of balance. That's kind of how I figured that I had a concussion. I was a little bit sensitive to light at that time.
And there were a couple even tracing back. So there's consequences to that. And when we have a concussion, we simultaneously have a neck injury. And when we have a neck injury, it distorts something called, there's a fancy P word, it's called proprioception. It just means spatial awareness. When we have less spatial awareness, we're more prone to things like ankle sprains or knee injuries. So we don't think about these things until they show up, but we can really trace it back to earlier things. So that's why it's important that even after a concussion or a neck injury, to really address it, not just wait for the pain or the symptoms to kind of go away, because there's consequences. There's a unique methodology we do here at Lifespring. It's called the TriChord Method. You've heard of us talk about it before. The nervous system we've talked about, that's one of them. As we address the spine and through a lens of the nervous system, it's going to change the muscle tightness. Often people say, well, I think I have a muscle problem because the muscles are tight. What are your thoughts now after having gone through a few months worth of nervous system focused chiropractic care, and the muscles feel different in your neck, you're not popping your neck, you're not having to overstretch? What do you say to people that think it's a muscle problem? What do we think? It could be, but what do you think?
I don't really think it is. Obviously, like, just now there's literal proof in the pudding. Like you said, worked on my nervous system, and why is it that it changed all of a sudden? So obviously, it had to do something.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that it wasn't all about just my muscles being super tight. I think it was just directly wired to my nervous system.
We've worked on extremities also, that's one of them, with the feet and the knees. And then the third is the ligaments. And the ligament system for you is really important because in especially female athletics, we can see some overstretched ligaments, and it's like a rubber band almost that becomes overstretched. We don't want to continue to stretch it out. So that's why we haven't popped you at all. All right. And there's also some specific ligament type adjustments that we do. If you watch our channel before, we're not going to show those on camera. Just because it is something unique that we do in this office, and we don't want everyone to see all the things. But let's get into some of the nervous system stuff. So, Rori, let's have you lie face down, please. The region we were always working at for you was the upper neck that would show up with the testing. So the technique that we've been using with Rori is one that looks at a reflex. So I'm going to flick the feet, and it's checking for a reflex in the Achilles tendon here, and it's more of a reflection of what's going on in our spinal cord, so we can figure out where we want to make some adjustments. Okay, can you turn your head to the left for me, please? Good, and then to the right. Good, and then back to the middle. Going here. And once I figure out the spot, I also got to figure out the direction and we call it torque. Right there, breath in for me, please, and let it all go. There even was what I was referencing a moment ago, when we're making adjustments like that, that is even going to change the way that she moves and take a lot of the pressure off of the knee. And now that she's 10 months post-op, we've been actually working directly on the knee and making some knee adjustments. Head to the left for me, please. And then to the right. Good, and then back to the middle. No. Yeah. So this is sacrum we're going to make an adjustment to next. I just got to figure out where and in what direction. There it is. Breath in and let it all go. Good. Now for Rori, it's just fine tuning and then the last little bit of optimizing before going into the season. So there's not as much I'm going to point out here. All right, we got one more. This is going to be your atlas. Breath in for me, please. And let it all go. Good. All right, y'all. So just what you saw with Rori, we were talking about some of the scans that we used and how that played into the strategy that we came up for her. And one of the scans I do want to show is the thermal scan. And the thermal scan, or paraspinal thermography as we call it, is looking at skin temperature along the spine. So it's looking at something called the sympathetic motor nerves in the spine. And what that really is, this is just a regional view of how the nervous system is disrupted, or how stress on the nervous system shows up regionally through the spine. This is a really cool view for people who have had, let's say, low back pain that no one can seem to figure it out. A lot of times what we find, the problem is actually coming from the neck or vice versa. So it's a really, really great tool for us to use. And the first scan that I'm going to put up here on the screen is what I was referring to with Rori, that it almost looks perfect. So we see all the white throughout the entire scan. This is actually ideal. This is actually really good. So pairing this with her history, something seemed fishy to us because we wouldn't expect a near perfect scan. And this is why we have 3 different scans in our Insight scans. And I'm going to link them actually below. So if you want to read more about them, you can read about each individual scan. But looking at this first one, we knew, okay, this is a compensatory pattern. So showing up in the second scan, we could call out, Rori, what we think is going to happen is actually going to show up pretty colorful or pretty messy on this second scan. And sure enough, when we did that, that's what showed up. And what we're seeing here, there's a bunch of red up in the top of the neck. So meaning the nerves in the top of the neck, we're seeing some dysfunction and some stress or some irritation to those nerves. And then we see down even in the lower neck and that kind of shoulder area on the right side, a lot of stuff going on up in the neck. And when we saw even the adjustments to Rori, some of the adjustments to her neck was the biggest thing that changed her overall movement, because what we're looking at going to affect the entire body and the entire nervous system, not just the neck. You can't isolate anything in the nervous system. So a lot of her movement around her knee and rehab for the ACL injury that she had was improved through the adjustments we made to her neck. And then when we look at the third scan, this was after 3 months worth of pretty intensive nervous system focused chiropractic care. We see her scan really clear out in a really nice way. So this is ideal. This is what we'd want to see. We see just a little bit of that green at the top, means a little bit of mild irritation still at the top. And we're finishing out the last little bit of her plan before the season starts. So I would expect this to really just become more and more ideal as time goes on. And we're going to continue to build new patterns within her nervous system so she becomes more resilient. Not only can she move better now, like she was talking about, but this should translate to things like injury prevention, better recovery, and overall better performance as it relates to athletes. All right, now we get to go to the extremities. So we'll check your feet and your knees. And I only start with the feet because it's the primary shock absorber. The knees are the secondary. And she's got, where we see one of the most common patterns is the arch will kind of drop down, and then the ankle bone, we call it the talus right here, will kind of come forward. So that's the pattern I'm seeing. I'm going to make those adjustments. So I'm going to start with the talus first here. Okay, good. And then with the arch, I'm going to lift this. And then this is the first metatarsal for all the nerds watching on YouTube. And then you have one of the, called the cuneiforms, these little bones right in the middle of the foot. There's 3 of them. It's dropped down right there. Any sensitivity?
A little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to use this to lift it back up. And then let's go to this side.
Yeah.
This side's not as bad. There's a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but it doesn't feel as bad.
Okay, we're going to the knee. I'm feeling for swelling at all behind the knee. That's one of the things that will commonly show up. Yeah, and you have some a little bit right there on the right knee. And I want to check one of the muscles just to confirm. So hold the foot here. I'm going to push it out. Don't let me. Resist, resist. Good. So not horrible, but I'm going to be picky.
That used to be horrible.
Just fine tune, and we're being picky. So there's a small adjustment in the right knee that we're going to make, but there's nowhere near as much dysfunction there, right, as where it used to be. It's just the last little like polishing before the season starts. I'm going to put my hand here, and then I'm just going to come onto this. This is your tibia is what this is called.
Yeah.
That shin bone. Better. Now the other side of it.
Oh.
Yeah. That was more sensitive, huh? That side part.
It is.
Yeah. So my angle's not perfect. This won't do anything. Okay. And we're also going to be on the fibula right here. Yeah, that was even worse. Mm-hmm. Shoes is what I'd say. Did you change your shoes recently?
No, I haven't actually.
But y'all had like a period where you were wearing different shoes.
Yeah, I've had the same pair on for like past 3 weeks.
Okay.
So.
That's much better. Yeah. Now feel how it's not so like stuck together. Those muscles were just like ropey and stuck together. A lot of people that feel like they have their calf muscles that are cramping.
Oh,
the knee. Yeah, it's the knee. Okay, so good there. I like it.
I just remember my first visit here, we were going over some of my history, and he asked me if I cracked my neck a certain amount of times a day, and I was like, that is interesting. I definitely do crack my neck a lot. As of today, I actually don't. And I also did excessive stretching throughout the day because I always had a tight feeling, like my back, legs, neck, whatever it was, but here we are. I'm not doing that anymore.
The reason that is as we address the spine and through a lens of the nervous system, it's going to change the muscle tightness. So you probably noticed the muscle tightness in your neck has really significantly chilled out. Yeah. Let's have you take a few steps. That should feel easier, especially on that left arch and the right knee.
Yep.
Feel a little easier?
That's so good. Yeah.
Cool.
It does feel a lot easier.
I like it. Awesome.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you for saving your life.
You got it.